Welcome to Daily Brief YouTube channel. Major clashes continue to occur between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army, which entered the territory of Ukraine 4 days ago by the order of Russian President Vladimir Putin. In the first 2 days of the occupation, the Russian army continued its advance. But from the third day on, the Ukrainian armed forces put up a great resistance in the city centers. The two regions where these resistances are most concentrated are Kharkiv on the northern border and Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Russia, which has been carrying out serious attacks on Kiev for 2 days and trying to bring down the city, has not been able to bring down the capital of Ukraine to this day. The incredible resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces and the Ukrainian people in the capital caused the Russian army to not enter the city. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin raised the level of alarm to the next level by ordering the preparation of nuclear-armed troops in the Ukraine crisis in a shocking statement. A few hours after this move became number one on the world's agenda, Russia offered to meet with Ukraine unconditionally at the Belarusian border. Looking at these two moves, it is easy to guess that Russia suffered a serious loss in the war. Some Ukrainian officials describe Ukraine's unconditional agreement to negotiate as a partial victory. In addition, Ukrainian officials stated that they would not surrender even if Russia used nuclear weapons. These kinds of resistance rhetoric increase sympathy towards Ukraine even more in the world. Now we can say that there is much more support behind the Ukrainian army. While millions of people from different parts of the world donate to the Ukrainian army, they also support psychological superiority with the messages they send on social media. But Ukraine's achievements are not limited to psychological superiority. Russian equipment losses shared by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense underscore the durable Ukrainian resilience. The Russian army has suffered huge losses. Putin certainly did not expect the Russian army to suffer such huge losses against Ukraine. In Kharkiv, the second largest city of Ukraine, where the most intense conflicts took place, the governor of Kharkiv announced that the Russian troops trying to enter the city were repulsed and a great victory was won. One of the most flashy developments of the day was the Bayraktar TB2 unmanned aerial vehicles that Ukraine bought from Turkey, which proved to be Ukraine's most effective and special weapon against Russian troops. Bayraktar TB2 attack drones have become one of the most powerful means of attack and defense in Kharkiv and many other cities as a result of successful raids on Russian troops. It was stated that Bayraktar TB2 drones, with the support of the Ukrainian people, played the biggest role in the destruction and repulsing of Russian troops in the city of Kharkiv. Bayraktar TB2 drones, the resistance of the Ukrainian army and people in Kharkiv won the sympathy of the whole world. Bayraktar TB2 unmanned aerial vehicles are a versatile attack vehicle that has proven itself in 3 continents, especially against Russian military equipment, such as the destruction of S-300s. Today, it has been stated by the Ukrainian defense authorities that the Ukrainian army inventory is one of the most important and effective weapons in addition to the Javelin and NLAW anti-tank missiles in the Kharkiv defense and has been proven many times by the verified images. This defense and Bayraktar TB2s could become a new real Ukrainian legend and is something that the Ukrainian people most need and want to hope for right now. According to data released by the Office of the President of Ukraine, Russia has lost 14 aircraft, 8 helicopters, 102 tanks, 536 BBMs, 15 heavy machine guns and 1 Buk missile since February 24. It is also claimed that 3,500 Russian soldiers lost their lives or were taken prisoner. However, the Russian Defense Ministry has not confirmed the loss of any of the Russian soldiers and has not acknowledged so far, only publishing the Ukrainian casualties. On the other hand, Ukrainian military sources both admit their own losses and claim the loss of about 450 Russian soldiers. A 5 kilometers long Russian armored convoy was seen approaching Kiev from the northwest today. It is thought that air support will also be provided to the capital, where a very serious dispatch of soldiers is made. In the statement made by Josep Borrell today, the announcement that the European Union will supply fighter jets to Ukraine was another news that fell like a bomb on the agenda. The clashes in Kharkiv currently contain the hottest news of the region. The blow that Russia took in Kharkiv has given hope to all of Ukraine. In Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, clashes broke out in the streets after Russian forces entered the city. Meanwhile, the commander of the Ukrainian forces in Kharkiv, Governor Oleg Senegabov, claimed that dozens of Russian soldiers surrendered due to ongoing fighting in the city, about 20 miles from the Russian border. Then the governor of Kharkiv declared his victory. The city's governor claimed on Sunday that after heavy clashes and street battles with advancing Russian troops, Ukrainian forces had repelled the Russian attempt to capture Kharkiv. Kharkiv Governor Oleg Senegabov said Ukrainian soldiers were clearing the eastern city. He said that Russian soldiers surrendered in groups of 5 to 10 and threw their equipment in the middle of the road. "We are in total control of Kharkiv." Senegabov shared it on Facebook. "The city is completely cleared of the enemy. The Russian enemy is absolutely demoralized." The governor previously said that Russian light military vehicles entered the city, including the central areas. He said they arrived in the northern suburbs at 8 a.m. He urged all civilians to stay inside. "Citizens of Kharkiv, do not leave the shelter, do not use any means of transport," he said. He also claimed that captured soldiers complained of low morale, a lack of understanding of the mission, and a shortage of fuel. Senegabov posted photos of some Russian soldiers allegedly captured on his Facebook account. Russian fighters, who warned civilians to stay in their homes, said, "Russian fighters are trying to hide among civilians by leaving their positions, asking people for clothes and food." The Russian Ministry of Defense said in a statement a day ago that the armed forces of the Russian Federation do not hit cities and towns, but take all measures to save the lives of civilians, and said that it only targeted military infrastructure. But Zelensky said on Sunday, they lied when they said they would not target the civilian population. Since the first hours of the occupation, Russian troops have been hitting civilian infrastructure. Clashes have also intensified in the capital Kiev and the southern city of Kherson in recent days. Two senior U.S. officials with direct knowledge told the media that Russia is facing, harder than expected, resistance from the Ukrainian military and unexpected difficulties in supplying its forces. "We defended all our cities, even though the Russians sent sabotage groups and bombed critical infrastructure." Sunday's social media videos showed several abandoned Russian military trucks surrounded by Ukrainian soldiers in Kharkiv as the fighting reportedly continued after an overnight bombardment by Russian artillery. Videos circulating on social media showed footage of Russian troops passing through residential areas and Soviet-era apartment blocks. Pedestrian soldiers used armored vehicles as trenches. Their vehicles were marked with a Z, the symbol of the four-day occupation of Russia. But other footage shows that the Ukrainian army is inflicting casualties. There were images of a Russian column destroyed in the southeast of the city and photographs of a conflict. Eyewitnesses said that a group of Russian soldiers took shelter in an empty school number 88 near the Traktorny Zavod metro station. Armed with Kalashnikovs and grenade launchers, Ukrainian soldiers emerged to open fire, hiding behind a wall and trees. Clashes were reported around Shevchenko Street. In another part of the city, local fighters drove around the destroyed Russian vehicles, checking for damage and salvaging military equipment. Videos uploaded to social media give a rare glimpse of clashes between Russian and Ukrainian military forces on the streets of Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine. Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, has been the target of frequent Russian military attacks since the occupation began early Thursday morning. Now it is the place of intense street battles as the Russian army tries to take control of the city. A series of videos uploaded to social media show a Russian troop attempting to advance towards a key airfield and weapons factory northeast of Kharkiv. The airport at Kharkiv State Aircraft Manufacturing Corporation is small, just a single runway, but can be a useful beachhead for the Russians. The CNN news agency has located and confirmed the authenticity of the videos. The first video, taken by a resident, shows Russian troops, surrounded by military vehicles, crawling along a road that ends near the airport. The Russian attempt to capture Kharkiv came one night after intense shelling. At least one high-rise apartment block was hit. Anton Gerashenko, advisor to Ukraine's interior minister, broadcast videos of the war on his Telegram channel, saying that the Russian army had overstepped its bounds. Kharkiv will become a Ukrainian Stalingrad for the Russians, he wrote. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described last night as brutal in an address posted online. Another shooting, again shelling of residential areas and civilian infrastructure, he said. There is not a single thing in the country today that the occupiers do not see as an acceptable target. They fight against everyone. They are fighting against all living things, against kindergartens, residential buildings and even ambulances. He said Russian forces had fired rockets and missiles at entire areas of the city where there was and never was a military infrastructure. Vasilkiv, Kyiv, Chernigiv, Sumy, Kharkiv and many other towns in Ukraine live in conditions that were last experienced on our land during the Second World War.